Yes.
Okay, just
You can proceed.
now welcome our today's second speaker, Dr. Pranav Kumar Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Applied Science and Humanities, under School of Technology of Assam University. He was completed his PhD from Department of Physics, NIT Silchar. His main area of research is fabrication of resistive memory device, and he got UGC Dr. D.S. Kothari and National Postdoctoral Fellowship ACRB DST. After completing his postdoc, he has joined Assam University Silchar in 2017. He has 17 number of SCI publication in different reputed journals and so many conference papers. At present, he is executing UGC BRS project on perovskite and polymer nano composites based memory for flexible and wearable electronics. Please, sir, this is your turn. Please start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your nice introduction. And first of all, I thanks and my heartfelt gratitude to the principal sir and as well as the convener of this organizing committee, and very good afternoon to all of you. So still we are doing something in this pandemic situation. So this is good for us also. So somehow we can able to is it possible? Is it clear my screen right now? Or am I audible to you, everyone?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And my presentation is whether it is coming or
Yeah, yes.
my PowerPoint slide is coming.
Few seconds back, it shows on the screen, but not now. Yes,
Right now?
Yes, it is okay. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So today I am going to discuss, or better to say, presenting ICT-based teaching. So what is the impact corresponding in our higher education and some other policy, and is there any chances or challenges, and what are the opportunities regarding these things? So before going to discuss about the ICT-based teaching, so just we are now think about what is the present scenario of higher education in our nation at the present. So if we consider based on the record of the 2019, so we will see that at present in India, 900, almost 1,000 universities there, and above 500 colleges, and most of these 37 million students is there. So if we look back, then we can realize that in 1950, there was only 25 university and 700 colleges is there. So that means with respect of this mathematical calculation, we can realize that after 70 years of this, and we will see the enormous number of a huge number of universities in India. But still one question is arising in our mind, that gross enrollment ratio, that is, it's nearly about the 16%. That means the 18 to 24 years, the students who are coming in the higher education, that the ratio is only 16%, 26%. So that means then that there is something is lagging. So is there any policy we have to adopt that a huge number of students can access the higher education in India? And not only that, there is another thing we have to realize that the student may be 20% of the population, but they are the 100% of our future. And with respect all of these things scenario, and another information, and I want to share with you that the poor international ranking of all over India access, whether you can consider the IIT or NIT or ISC, like these kinds of university, institute or university. So accessibility and quality of education, there is a huge question mark. So if we want to quote the Nelson Mandela, then we have to say that if the collapse of education is the collapse of a nation. So if you want to regain, or if you want to stable this scenario of higher education, so let's check, is there any some possibility based on ICT based education or like this thing. So what is ICT? ICT is the information and communication technology based education. And in this method, that means the education is a formation of the communication and technology to enrich the delivery process of information. So because everywhere the information is there, and from that, not only in the earlier system, the student can gather knowledge only from the teacher in the case of the classes. But now, and the when a student not only in the inside the classes, he can get the same kind of information everywhere from the cloud. So there is some kind of advantages of ICT-based communication. So if we think about these things, the reaching the more number of students with massive open online courses and access in, uh, access of information whenever whatever information is required, wherever the information, student can access anything, and can improve the learning experience of the student and provide a new set of skills. Not only that, as well as the teaching method can be enhanced with respect of ICT-based education system or learning system. And it also side by side facilitating the training process of any faculty. So these are the basic advantages. So on the basis of these things, in order to ensure the best quality of content and produce by and delivery respectively, the 9 national coordinates or coordinator, better to say, have appointed by the MHRD, and MHRD have taken initiative. There is a fourth number of coordinate system, or if you think about the basically the school education, which is coordinated by the National Institute of Open Schooling and NCRT, and undergraduate education. This is taken by the NPTEL, National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning, AICT, All India Council for Technical Education. This is for the self-paced and international courses they are taking about this thing. And out of school education, there is also IGNO and NITTR, National Institute of Technical Teacher Training and Researches. And postgraduate education, this is taken by care NPTEL, AICT, IIMB, and UGC. So e-learning, that means when we think about it, is a replacement of traditional learning. So my opinion, it is not a replacement, better to say it is a supplement of a traditional learning process. So next we are going to a slide where we can see that the policy decision of UGC regarding the ICT based teaching. So in 2016, one gazetted notification of 20th July, then UGC have credited the framework of based on the online courses, and these courses are the SWAYAM courses. As we all know, the massive number of open number of courses, the SWAYAM, the facility, it is any student can earn the credit through these online courses up to 20% per semester. Not only that, in near future, maybe the 20% will uprise to a 30% or 40%. So based on the present scenario, we can say, and it also advantages, gives them more flexibility in the CBCS system, and consequently, AICT also adopts same kind of pattern of credit system through online courses, and the notification was published in the Gazetted India, and that in the 2016, 22nd August. Okay, so not only the SWAYAM courses and UGC, there is another type of a digital TV, different courses are there. and high quality education program in 24 hours, they are continuously running. So from that, any student can gather these kinds of knowledge. Next, we can now going to discuss about the component of any course which are hosted on the SWAYAM. So basically, there is a four number of quadrant component. Four quadrants means first is the video lecture process, and second is the study material. Study material that can be uploaded or downloaded, and this study material can be printed. So that means no student need not to buy any kind of such kind of material. Then they can completely access these things. And third one is the online discussion for clearing doubt. There is a non-part platform and self-assessment and test and quizzes. So that means on the basis of four number of component, one MOOCs course that is developed. But at the same time, we have to think that means if we want to complete these four number of component, so we need a technically sound teacher. So that means we have to enhance our technical capability. Unless until it is not possible to complete all these four components at a single person. So if we want to discuss in more details, so then we can realize the components, how they are, it is a one kind of teamwork like effort. So if we want to develop a component like e-content, so first we need a subject expert. So that means you will give the text, you will supply the images, corresponding graphs, numerical analysis, or some examples and numericals, etc. And another component, he is need a multimedia expert. He will introduce some audio or animation or video to enhance the explanation regarding the text or supporting the subjects. And next portion is the assemble of e-component. And if in that time, it will to split completely on the basis of the structure, the module, and if it is a 30-based module or per semester or 40-based module, with respect of this, there is a splitting. And consequently, there is a adding and self-assessment, graded question, etc. That would be preparation of executive model. So finally, a MOOCs, that means the outcome is coming. The most important thing when we are introducing some text graphs by the subject expert, we have to take care of the IPR or copyright. That means the intellectual copyright property rights. Because of that, if there are so many cases, we have found the plagiarism. So we have to check very precisely the content what we are going to upload. So that can be plagiarism. So many softwares are there or tools are there from which we can take the plagiarism cases. Some examples we can say Turnitin, Grammarly, or so many are there. So all either from this we can access what is the possibility, is there in such kind of possibility of plagiarism. So what are the challenges to develop a e-content? The first I realized that the challenges is coming from it is a completely a coordination between academic and technical team. And if there is no such kind of coordination, then a complete and excellent or interesting multimedia content or there is a subject content is not good, then it will not a good or suitable MOOCs course. And next question is the multilingual conversion. So because India is a one kind of country, there is a huge number of languages and in education system, not only a single language. So it is very tough to develop a multilingual conversation or conversion of a single module, or if you consider a complete MOOCs course. Next, now we can discuss about who can create these kinds of online courses or program. That is what is the eligible criteria. Again, there is a gazetted notification by Indian government to the MHRD in 2018 for July. That means that if any institution, whether it is university or IIT like a MHRD-based institute, there is existence at least 5 years, and next course should be 3.26 if you could greater than this. And not only that, it will be among a top 100 NIRF ranking. They can able to execute a program or online courses like this. Next, we can discuss about what are the impact in the education system of India. MOOCs, that means the massive online open courses. If we think about this thing, it is also increased the number of the GER, that means the gross enrollment ratio, because some cases we have found that the student cannot access education due to so many financial condition. Maybe that there is so many conditions like that, so they are not getting a capability to go for the higher education in the institute like this thing. So from the online they can access these things. And another thing is that it is a tool, just like ATM. When you are ATM is when we can access is a 24 into 27 hours, 27 days. In the same way, it is a, I can say it is a ATL. ATL means it is a on-time learning. By one click, any student can access any moment. So that is a one kind of advantage. And another thing is a lifelong learning. It is not that it is bounded, it is a higher education after completing 10 plus 2 like this. If anyone want to go for the higher education by the single click or like the mock education from system, from these kinds of platform, and high quality education may be able to give available for the huge masses, that means the throughout the nation. And the scope of the MOOCs, it can able to handle both the component, that is the traditional university or conventional university, and some kind of open and distance mode of university like this thing. Both can be accessed by the possibility. There is a huge possibility of utilization of the MOOCs. In case of conventional university, that is the credit transfer, that is the supplementary course, and it is another thing is the blended and flip learning. And whether in the case of the open and distance education, in that case it is a alternative, potential alternative through online platform. So when you think about that means the conventional university or colleges like this thing, then one thing is that our client in our mind it is coming that a blended or flipped learning. So next, if we want to think about what is blended learning or flip learning, so first we are going to discuss about the blended learning. So am I audible? Hello?
Yes, Dr. Sarkar.
Okay, thank you. So if we want to discuss about the blended learning process, so in case of blended learning, that is a one kind of a traditional learning, that means the in a chalk and duster like these things, that means the class face-to-face learning procedure in the classes, as well as there is a e-learning platform. So simultaneously we can blend between these two things, then it is a one kind of formation. This is a blended learning, you can say. And in that case we need to enhance our capability, and we have to technically sound. So we need to handle such kind of tools, how to conduct a platform of e-learning procedure. In that case, we need a live classes, video conferences. For that, we can use the such kind of tools, Google Meet or Google Classroom, Cisco WebEx, Zoom, etc. like these things. Apart from that, if you want to share the information, some documents, some files with the students, so in that case, we can use such kind of tools. Suppose that Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, like these things. And that means we have to enhance our educational skill, technical skill. So unless and are not able to handle this blended learning procedure. So from the perspectives of a teacher as well as from the perspectives of a student. So communication is another platform, social media platform, just like Facebook, Twitter, or WhatsApp. Like this, from that we can communicate to our student by giving some kind of information. So this is the way to sort out this in this pandemic situation, how we can utilize this kinds of blended learning. And next one is the flip learning, flip education. So if we want to talk about the flip education, so first we think what is flip learning. Flip learning, ultimately it is a pedagogical approach in which that means the direction instruction moves from a group of learner space to an individual learning space. Not only that, and the resulting group space is an interactive learning environment where the educator guides the student as they apply the concept and engage the creatively in the subject matter. So in case of, we can think when the traditional learning process, it is completely a teacher centric, teacher giving a lecture, and the lecture is completely based on the lesson. And there is some kind of homework assignment, students can do these things in their home. But if you concept the flip learning procedure, in that case, we see that the content, that is the delivery at home, that means the student can, by video lecture or some other platform, the student can access this lecture. And after getting this knowledge about this lecture or lesson, now when the student is coming to the classroom, they are collaboratively doing the assignment and exploring the topics in completely in depth way, and they are discussing about these things, and so many they are able to task about the numericals analysis, so many things. And this is a typically, it is a class discussion. Though in case of that means that it is a flipped classroom, is intentionally shifted the instruction to a learner centered model, in which the time of the classroom that is utilized to explore the topics in greater and creative the meaningful opportunities, and there is a higher student engagement in that procedure. So there is also challenges you can consider, or some kind of negativeness you can think about these things. So that is the every learning procedure there is something. So if we consider the flip learning, there is a such first challenge is, if we consider that is a homework, then still it is a homework, and it is a technically dependent or technology dependent. That means it is internet dependent, and most of the students who are where you are in a remote area, it is not able to access throughout the complete and undisrupted internet connection. And it is one of the important thing is the challenges, it is basically highly relies on the learner, and not all students learn through the visible learning procedure. So in case of flip learning, there is some kind of drawbacks you can consider. So if we think completely we can shift it from the traditional learning to flip learning, so my opinion, it is practically at present it is not possible. So still in that case, we have to uh, go with the traditional learning as well as the flip learning in the same way, unless until we are not enhanced the capability of our learner in a such manner. So next, we can discuss so many things about the ICT-based learning procedure. And lastly, I want to say that in that case, higher education system, and during this pandemic situation and post-COVID situation, if we think, my realization is the great role that is played by the ICT-based learning in the higher education in near future. And there will be major changes in evaluation process or examination is coming, and we have to meet these challenges, and we have to convert this in an opportunity. Unless until we are not possible to compete with this situation, and we have not enhanced the quality of higher education. So from this point of view, I want to stop my lecture, and that point, this is a very short lecture, most probably because of this, in this pandemic situation, everybody, we are facing this scenario, and we have already seen all of these things, and within a couple of 2-3 months. So finally, thank you all. Thank you. So if anyone have any discussion or you want to talk,
thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sarkar, for your nice presentation. It was a rich presentation. Please, if there are any question,